Good morning. How can I help you?
I heard that you run tours and trips to UK cities.
We do, yes. We run 3 per week. One of them is always at the weekend, and the other 2 are on Wednesdays.
Right. And what sorts of places do you visit?
Well, we run trips to most UK cities, but we specialise in places of historic interest. And we also run a lot of gallery tours, because visitors to the UK often request those specially. We've also started offering city walking tours, and they're very popular during the summer.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I enjoy that sort of thing. What do the tours cost?
Well, it varies depending on the trip. The further away trips, and those with expensive entry fees to galleries and sites, tend to be more expensive, of course. But generally speaking, they range from £5 to £15 per adult. We do also offer special prices if you want to book for a group of 25 or more. In that case, we can give a discount on the cost of the tour.
Right, that's good to know. I'll keep that in mind. And what about the times?
We have a fixed pattern of departure and return times. We leave from here at 9 sharp and return again at 6:30. It's a fairly long day, but sometimes we travel for up to 3 hours, depending on which city we're visiting, so we don't like to cut the tours shorter than that.
Okay, and if I want to book a place on a tour, how do I reserve a spot?
You have to come into the office and sign the registration sheet a minimum of 3 days before the date of the tour, so that we know we have enough people for the visit to go ahead. If there aren't enough people registered, we offer a full refund, of course.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you will have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
What trip do you have scheduled for next month?
Let me have a look at the schedule. We haven't had it printed up yet, as we're still waiting to confirm a couple of dates, but I can give you the provisional list.
Okay, that's fine. I just want an idea of what's available so I can start making some plans.
Right. Well, let's see then. The first one we have planned for next month is the Glasgow trip, on the 1st of March. That one's only got 12 places available, because we're travelling by minibus rather than by coach. It's a day in the city with drop-off at George Square, and then an optional extra tour of the Mackintosh House. It's the former home of a well-known Scottish artist. Well worth a visit.
Okay, that sounds like a possibility.
There's a trip to St Andrews on the 4th. And for that one, we'll be taking a small coach, so there are 34 spots available. And let's see. The optional extra is the university tour.
Okay, I've actually already seen that, so that one doesn't interest me.
After that, on the 12th of March, is the Edinburgh tour with 28 spaces. That one's always popular, because the extra option is the portrait gallery. Then it's Bristol, on the 20th of March, and the optional extra is the Arnolfini Gallery. We're taking the medium-sized coach with 20 seats for that one.
Oh, good. I'd like to go to Bristol. I've never been before.
And then the last one is to London on the 30th of March.
Ah, good. I was hoping for a London trip. Does it include time for shopping?
Yes, there's a free afternoon scheduled, so you can use it for shopping or sightseeing, whatever you prefer. The optional visit is the Tower of London. If you're keen to go, do book as soon as you can, because there are only 18 seats available on the minibus.
Okay, I think I'll book that straight away then.
Of course. I'll help you with that now. Oh, by the way, if you want more information about any of the trips, have a look in the local newspaper, because we advertise there.
Okay.
Or you can also pop in or phone my secretary, Tom Roper. That's R-O-P-E-R, and he will give you more details.
Right, got it. Thank you very much for your help.
You're very welcome. I hope you enjoy the trips.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the Beamish Farming Village Museum. First of all, I'd like to give you a quick overview of the history of the museum before you go off and have a look around on your own. So, if you look over here to your left, you can see the river that runs right through the middle of the village. It was because of this natural source of fresh water that this site was an obvious location for a farm. The woods just beyond the river are another reason, as they provided both fuel and shelter. In these ways, the site was very suitable for the purposes of agriculture from an early time, and in fact, there is historical evidence that a farm in some form or another has been located here since the early 16th century, and the landowner at that time was a Mr. John Snow. Local archives contain data on land use from this time. And it is noted that livestock was kept in the fields over here between the river and the woods. Over 200 animals, including pigs and chickens, were kept here at the time the data was recorded in 1721.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you will have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, I'm going to give you a plan of the site, and I'd just like to point out where everything is, and then you can just wander around for yourselves for the rest of the visit. I've already pointed out the river, which is on the left, and you should be able to see that on your plan. It's the curved line. Now we're standing at the entrance where the arrow is at the bottom of your plan, and immediately to our right is the ticket office. You won't need to go there, because you've got yours, but just past it are the toilets. Always useful to know where they are. To the left of us by the entry gate is the gift shop. That's where you can buy guidebooks and souvenirs. Now if you look straight ahead, you'll see that all the buildings are arranged in a semicircle. The big rectangular building right opposite at the far end of the site is the workshop. That's where the farm machinery was repaired. The building to the right of the workshop is the store. It's the big building, slightly at an angle. Now, if you look again at the gift shop on our left, the building next to that, the long building, is the engine room, and the one after that, the building with 6 sides, is the cafe. Obviously that's a new building, but you'll be pleased to know that they do serve very nice old-fashioned teas and scones. So I think that's everything. As I said, you're free to wander around yourselves, but if anyone would like to join me for a guided tour, I'll be starting from the engine room in 10 minutes.
Excuse me, Dr. Jones. Do you have time to have a quick word with me?
Of course. Please come in.
Thanks. I'm Maria Gove, and I'm taking your course in marketing.
Okay, and how can I help you?
To be honest, I'm having difficulty with the second assignment that's due in on Monday.
What sort of trouble are you having? Is the assignment question posing a problem for you?
Well, that's part of the problem, but I'm also having trouble getting hold of the books. I've been to the library several times, and all the books are lent out.
Right. Well, it sounds like you should have started borrowing books a bit earlier.
Well, I had a really important assignment to complete for another course, and I've been spending all my time on that. So I was wondering whether I might be able to get an extension and hand in your assignment at the end of the week instead.
I see. Well, yes, it is possible, but extensions are normally given for or compassionate reasons. Otherwise, it's really a question of organizing your study time better. We don't like giving extensions to students who simply didn't plan their workload properly. What did you get for your first assignment?
I got 72%.
Yes, you did very well indeed, so obviously you can produce good work when you plan properly.
I don't think I'll need too much extra time, as long as I can get hold of some of the important references.
Okay, well, since you did so well in your first assignment, I'm prepared to give you an extra 2 days for this one, so that'll mean you'll need to submit it on Wednesday, 9 a.m., rather than on Monday.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Now, what about the reading materials? Have you checked out the journal articles on the list?
No, not yet. There were about 20 of them, and I wasn't sure which ones would be the most useful or important.
Well, they're all useful, but I don't expect anyone to read all because a number of them deal with the same issues. Let me give you some suggestions. The article by Anderson and Hawker is really worth reading.
Right. I'll read that one.
You should also read the article by James, but just look at the part in the research methodology that explains how they did it.
Okay. James. Got that.
And if you have time, the one by Rowland says very relevant things, although it's not essential. Perhaps just read the introduction to get an overview.
And what about the one by Matthew?
Yeah, I wouldn't bother with that at this stage if I were you.
Okay. I'll leave that one for now. Someone told me the article by Cole is important. Should I read that?
Well, yes, in a way it is important, but just look at the last part where he discusses the research results. Let's see. Lastly, there's Frank's. I can't think why I included that one on the reading list. It could be of some help, but not that much.
Right. Thanks. This is useful advice. Can I also ask about the assignment?
Of course. What's the problem there?
It's the graph on page 2, showing reasons why people shop at particular supermarkets. I've got a photocopy, but the reasons at the bottom are missing.
Okay, look at the first bar on the graph. So now that indicates the number of people who shop in a particular supermarket because it's close to their home. As you can see, that's the most frequent reason given.
I see. What about the next bar?
Bar 2 is to do with the people choosing supermarkets near their office or wherever they work. So that's people who shop in their lunch break or after work. Now let's look at bar number 3. This one indicates the number of people who are influenced by the availability of certain products. Sometimes it's luxury items or brands from a particular country that attract people, but equally it can be supermarket-owned brands that are sold for the lowest prices. Bar number 4 refers to those customers who choose their supermarket according to the cost of their shopping bill. So again, it could include shoppers looking for bargain prices, but also those who shop at the top end of the range.
Okay. Now what about bar 5?
Bar 5 shows those people who make their choice based on home delivery options being available. Most of the big supermarkets offer that option now.
Oh, that's interesting. I would have thought that would be important to more people than it is.
And bar 6 is the number of people who choose a supermarket due to the hours its doors are open. Many people prefer to shop at weekends or later in the evening these days.
Thank you very much for your time. That was really helpful. Hello everyone. Welcome to this morning's lecture on the subject of the reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone Park. This is one in a series of lectures organized for the university by the Environmental Society. My name's Brenda Johnston, and I am an environmental scientist with a particular interest in this initiative to regenerate Yellowstone Park. One of the most exciting scientific findings of the past half-century has been the discovery of trophic cascades. A trophic cascade is an ecological process that starts with an animal at the top of the food chain and makes an impact on creatures at the bottom of the chain. A classic example is what happened in the Yellowstone National Park in the United States, when wolves were reintroduced in 1995. Now, we all know that wolves kill various species of animals, but perhaps we're not aware that they also give life to many. Before the wolves were reintroduced, they'd been absent for 70 years. The numbers of deer had increased in the Yellowstone Park because there had been no bigger animals to hunt them, Those deer had reduced the vegetation there to almost nothing. They had just grazed it away, eaten it. But as soon as the wolves arrived, things started to change. First, of course, the wolves killed some of the deer, but that wasn't the major thing. Much more importantly, they changed the behavior of the deer. The deer started avoiding certain parts of the park, the places where they could be trapped most easily by the wolves, and immediately those places started to regenerate. In some areas, the height of the trees increased by 5 times in just 6 years. And as soon as that happened, the birds started moving in. The number of songbirds started to increase greatly. The number of beavers also started to increase because beavers like to eat the trees. And the beavers built dams in the rivers that provided habitats for ducks, fish, and reptiles. But here's where it gets really interesting. The wolves also changed the behavior of the rivers, because there were now trees and plants with strong roots holding the soil together that prevented soil erosion. The river narrowed. More pools formed. This was important for wildlife habitats. The rivers changed in response to the wolves. So the wolves, small in number, transformed not just the ecosystem of the Yellowstone National Park, but also its physical geography.